It's a big red dot.
Hello and welcome. Yes, we are back again. We have gathered here again. We are the Whovians. And this time we have sat here to discuss a story which has the Master, the Rani, Perry, and Doctor Number 6. Yes, Colin Baker. It is the Mark of the Rani. Now, let's head on over first to Harry. Go ahead, Harry. What do you think about Mark of the Rani?
I loved this story. This one is probably my favorite story from the Colin Baker era. It's not often that you find someone who can put both the Doctor and the Master in their place. Kate O'Mara did a fantastic job on this story. I mean, I just wish that her second appearance had been better, and that they had finally, Pip and Jane Baker, the Bakers had finally worked out the details with the new production company so that Ronnie could come back to television. I rate the story a 9 because it is such a fantastic job. The only reason I'm not giving it a 10 is because Anthony Ainley's performance is, I hate to say it, but Anthony's performance in the story is almost like that of a joke. It's obsession with destroying the Doctor, warping history. It's basically, it's almost like the Master is playing a second fiddle in this story, and it just doesn't work that way for the Master. If you're going to do a story involving the Master, give him a good chunk of the story work, but not this stuff they did in this story. That's why I gave the story rating a 9. The book, done by the Bakers, also is superb and wholeheartedly recommend for any fan of the series. Sink your teeth into it, you're going to enjoy it. Book also gets a rating of 9 out of me. So this is one story. I say, sit down, watch the DVD, read the book. You're not going to be disappointed in this Colin Baker story. No way, no how.
Thank you, Harry. Now let's move on over to Jason. What does Jason think?
This is not the best story in my opinion. All you got is a bunch of people running around in this episode, going crazy, and then you got the people turning into trees. Really, people turning into trees. I mean, of course, yeah, that'd be a torture for maybe for like 400 years or something, but seriously, not the best part coming with the Rani on this one. There isn't really much to say besides on this story. I mean, it was slow. I really didn't get very much of it. Yeah, besides the Rani's performance, she's always done a great performance. Same with the Master. Always, Anthony is always one of my favorite Masters. The Doctor's performance is always great. Even Perry. I do like some of the quotes, especially the very end where Lord Ravenloft, I think that's his name is, was telling the Doctor, like, what you guys do in there? And the Doctor's reaction like, argue, manly. But the story itself, not the best. I mean, I just felt more like it was a bit dull. So we'll have to give this like a 6 out of 10.
Thank you, Jason. Now, he's not a tree, but we can't say he's not barking mad. It's Lee.
I'm definitely not a tree. Right then, where to start with this one? My opinion of Pip and Jane Baker as writers for Doctor Who, sorry, but they just didn't understand the show, to be honest. They created the Rani, a good character, but for me, it was Kate O'Mara who made the character, not the writing. She made the Rani. The Master in the story, he didn't need to be there. I think he was shoehorned into this story because, as far as I remember what Anthony Ainley used to tell me was he was contracted to appear at least once or twice a season. It didn't need to be there. There was no explanation why he was dressed as a scarecrow at the beginning. Why was he dressed as a scarecrow? Why did the master want the TARDIS thrown down the mine shaft? It's virtually indestructible. There was no explanation as far as I can remember about that. What else can we say? The setting, I love the setting and the period of the Luddites, brilliant settings. But for me, it didn't work. The 45-minute episodic for this season, for me, I don't think worked for the classic era. 25 minutes episode. Yeah, that's why I think it sort of dragged. They dragged it out to a 45-minute episode. Some little things here as well. I know it was supposed to be set up, there was emphasising on the accents a lot. The accents were really over the top for me. Being living in the UK, I know what the accents are supposed to sound like, and they were way over the top. The Mark of the Rani, it looked like someone had gone to town on their necks with a piece of, lipstick, to be honest. Going around that with a bit of lipstick. That was a bit disappointing. I thought with the makeup and stuff, they could have made a better mark. Perry's dress, what on earth? What was going up? Bright yellow. Everybody else was dressed in rags, and sorry, it just didn't work. That was a pantomime dress, in my opinion. Did anybody notice as well the trolley, what the Doctor was strapped on? It had a mind of its own. It knew how to steer itself, didn't it? If I was strapped on that trolley, you'd end up in a ditch. You won't turn around the corner. But I like to pick these little things out. But for me, it's not a bad story. But Pip and Jane Baker just aren't very good writers, in my opinion. Acting, some of it was over the top. I mean, Ainley, as I say, was an over the top actor, but a brilliant master. But shouldn't have been there. Kate O'Mara made it for me, this story. So for that reason only, for Kate O'Mara's performance, it gets a 5.
Thank you, Lee, a 5. And can I just say, it's a sonic trolley. It's a sonic trolley. That's what it is.
A sonic trolley.
Yes. Now let's see what Beef Dad has to say about the Mark of the Rani.
It's a big red dot.
What, the trolley?
Foolish person, the Mark of the Rani. It's a big red dot. It should have been a punctuation mark, full stop, to be perfectly honest. Pip and Jane Baker really just did not seem to have the slightest idea what was going on in the world of Doctor Who. As Lee says, I felt sorry for Anthony Ainley because I felt, as Lee felt, that he'd been sort of bunged into it as a filler, and that is not fair to an actor of Anthony Ainley's calibre. That was a very unpleasant and unfair thing to do. Kate O'Mara, yes, as the Rani, in spite of really bad material to work with, really shone through. But then that was typical of Kate O'Mara. She was an absolute sweetheart. Nicola Bryant, well, to be perfectly honest, I did feel sorry for her. I felt really sorry for Nicola Bryant in this. As Lee said, that dress was dreadful. It belonged in a pantomime. It really was totally out of place, out of time, because during that period, nobody would have been seen dead in a yellow dress with a wide skirt and slashed puff Disney sleeves. It simply would not be worn by anybody anywhere during that period. Colin Baker, yeah, again, he did the best with very poor material, and some of the humour showed through. In fact, I think some of the humour was his humour rather than written humour. Terence Alexander playing Lord Ravensworth was Terence Alexander. You always get a good performance. He never ever failed. Although he is best known for his situation comedies. He was absolutely brilliant as the minister in Yes Minister, and the Prime Minister in Yes Prime Minister. And there was another one, but the name of it escapes me. I can only echo what Lee has said as far as the accents is concerned. The whole thing was completely over the top. God knows, did they have a coach there? I don't think they could have done. They've basically, someone's got this idea of the northern accent, and they've stretched it out and just made it so much larger than life that it just loses any credibility whatsoever. And then, of course, there's the Wizard of Oz moment with the tree. Oh God! And actually, considering Perry's dress, she wouldn't have been out of place on the yellow brick road, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, what I absolutely loved about the episodes was Kate O'Mara switching from the old lady that runs the bathhouse to this evil bitch who is running things. That was incredible. That was because when you look at her, she looks like a moving dung heap at first. You really do not believe that it could possibly be a woman as incredibly beautiful as Kate O'Mara was, which just goes to show what an incredible actress she was. So for me, it gets 7 out of 10 because of Kate O'Mara, and she used to like a drink.
Thank you, Beef Dad. A 7 out of 10 from Beef Dad. Now let's go over to Connor. What does Connor have to say about this one?
The Mark of the Rani is sort of middle ground for me. It's not the worst of Colin Baker's era, but it's not the best. Pip and Jane Baker, how much worse can you get as Doctor Who writers? And I'm glad that forthcoming showrunner of the new series, Chris Chibnall, called them out on their atrocious writing years later, after Trial of a Time Lord ended. Yeah, they're just atrocious. They don't have a clue about the show. They understood nothing. In the episodes itself, I did like just it being a 2-part, 45-minute thing. It helped it to run more smoothly, I think, even though it was terribly slow. It was awfully paced. Yeah, I think Kate O'Mara was the best thing about it, full stop. She was great as the Rani. She deserved better scripts. She was terrific, absolutely terrific. It's a shame that she never got a chance to reappear again after the time in the Rani, when undoubtedly the writing would have probably got a bit better for her. But yeah, I think the rest of the cast are really forgettable. I think the tree thing was atrocious. Nearly as bad as the robot doctor in The Chase, which we reviewed a few weeks ago. Yeah, Ain Lee's not my master. I think, as Lee said, he didn't really have a place here. Although I did like how he first appeared in the village when you sort of Kate O'Mara went out of shot and then you just sort of saw him sort of come into shot. I thought that was quite good. But yeah, it's a forgettable story, to be honest. Thought the dress that Perry was wearing reminded me of Battenberg cake. I just kept thinking that. It was very weird. It was very surreal watching it. But yeah, I'll give this a 5 out of 10. It's not great. It's not terribly bad. Sort of middle ground, I think. Yeah, so 5 out of 10.
Thank you, Connor. Well, now over to me. Well, I disagree with all these bad comments. I'm going to side with Harry. I'm siding with you, Harry. Yeah, I actually quite like this one. I do. I mean, I like it's set in Blist Hill, which is in Telford, and it's a nice setting. It looks good. I like the Master in it. I think the Master and the Rani work well together. I really like the character of the Rani. I think she's a great concept. Yeah, I like this one. I know it's got faults like the tree and the accents. You know, the accents are a bit, but you know, I've watched this many times. I've watched this many times over the years, and it's one I've always liked, and I still like it now. I would give it. I'd give it an 8. Harry gave it an 8. I'm going to give it an 8. I think Harry gave it an 8. I
gave it a 9.
A 9. All right. Well, I'm going to give it an 8. And I'm going to open the floor to whoever wants to speak.
Got to mention about the trolley. It reminded me of a worse version of the famous wheelchair escape from Spearhead in Space. It was awfully acted. It really sort of made the wheelchair thing look even greater. And John Pertwee could pull that off, but I just don't think that Colin Baker is in any way enough talented to pull something like that off. So I think Spearhead still wins that. In terms of near-death experience / escape things. Yeah, so I just didn't like that trolley scene at all.
I really enjoyed the idea of her being exiled from Gallifrey because her giant mice ate the Lord President's cat, and one of them bit the Lord President. And that really amused me. That really amused me.
I have to say, I've always liked the Rani's TARDIS as well. I've always liked the Rani's TARDIS. And she did appear in Dimensions in Time, which that was her last appearance.
Well, you've got to realise the 3 appearances she made in Doctor Who weren't very well written.
No.
All of
Mark
them
of the
were
Rani,
dismal.
Time of the Rani, and Dimensions in Time. Kudos to Kate O'Mara for making the character of the Rani so well loved. Only from those 3 appearances.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, a brilliant actress who could...
One reason we didn't see too much of the Rani is that outside the 3 times we've seen her, we saw her on television, is that the character of the Rani was owned by the Bakers. Just like Daleks were the creation of Terry Nation, so the Rani was the creation of Pip and Jane Baker, and as such, you wanted to use her, you had to get their permission. And Kate was trying very hard, or toward the end of her life, she had finally gotten permission from the Bakers that her character would be used. She was trying to work with the production team to get the Rani back into the show. Unfortunately, we could never get her back on television after her last performance, which to me is a shame because I loved Kate O'Mara as the Rani. I mean, as I said in my review, you don't often find a character that can put both the Doctor and the Master in their place at the same time. And this lady, well, the new actress is doing a decent job of Big Finish. I hate to say it, it's just not the same as Kate. I've seen her in other roles such as some other roles she did for different movies and such. Lady was great. She is sorely missed. And I had to say, she's probably the best renegade time in Lord we've had in a long time.
Yeah, actually, on the subject of the Rani, it's a terrible shame that Michelle Gomez didn't take over the mantle. I thought that she would have made a decent replacement rather than her being the Master. I have no objection to her being the Master. You know, I'm a massive fan of Missy, but I just think her as the Rani would have been a lot better, I think.
Yeah, I would have been all for that if she'd have turned around and said she was the Rani. I mean, I can honestly see her playing that part. But, as I said, it's all down to the writing but it's the actors what made the parts in this one for me. It's, you know, Kate O'Mara was the best thing in this story, to be honest, and me being a friend of Anthony Ainley, to say, you know, he wasn't needed in this, and I think he knew he wasn't needed in this, and as Beef Dad said, it was an insult to include him in, you'd shoehorn him into this.
But don't you agree that Kate O'Mara and Anthony Ainley worked well together? I thought they worked well together.
Well,
Yes,
yes.
they did.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah, you make a silk purse out of a sow's ear, don't you?
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, that is one of the things that both of them were absolutely tremendous actors. I remember seeing Kate on stage in Christopher of Blood, and because a friend of mine was a member of the cast, I actually had a drink with her after the show, and she was a very funny, very genuine lady, and I asked her about playing the Rani, and she said she just had a ball every time she did it. It was a shame that the script wasn't better. The settings, nobody's mentioned the settings. The settings from the Iron Gorge Museum and everything were absolutely brilliant. The sets were absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, it was Bliss Till it was.
Yeah, I know
Bliss Till
you.
and Telford, yeah.
And yeah, the location were absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. It's just a shame it was let down. Everything was let down so badly by the writing.
Also, in this,
frock.
yeah. Also, in this story, we learn that the Doctor hasn't met the Master since Planet of Fire.
Mm.
So there was no explanation how the Master got out of that, and there was
Yeah, he was
sort
meant
of
to
no
die,
explanation.
wasn't he?
Yeah, and there was no explanation how the Master knew that was the Doctor.
Can't they smell each other or something? They can smell each other.
It's a Time Lord thing.
I wonder, because the Doctor recognised the Rani. I wonder if that's the first incarnation. Is that the first incarnation of the Rani? Do we know?
Yeah.
Or yes,
We're assuming that because
Yeah.
there was at the Academy.
yeah.
And also, we know we found out in this episode that Time Lords do have genitalia, because the Rani proved that by kicking the Master right in the
Bits.
Yeah.
That's got
See,
everyone tickled.
I'm dragging this cast down now.
Yeah, Lee, you're lowering the tone here. Go on. Does anybody have anything else to say?
Yeah, I do actually.
It's not about genitalia, please.
No, that's not. No. I always like when Doctor Who includes historical figures. I thought George Stevenson isn't someone that everyone probably would have heard of, but I think the inclusion of him as sort of like a background character was great. You know, like you've had Marco Polo, Lincoln, everyone almost appear in Doctor Who before, and I think having someone that's less known in a story like this, which is overall a struggling story, I thought it was quite a nice touch to have it included in the Industrial Revolution sort of period with him about in the village.
And of course, the comment from the Doctor that his invention take off like a rocket.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah,
Yes.
I do like the last line as well. What Jason mentioned earlier about are we bickering there? Yeah, I like that line because he was asked, "What do you do in there?" in the TARDIS. Well, that's it. That's your lot. Not a shallot. That's your lot. Beef Dad said shallot last week. I remember. I would like to thank everybody here for joining me. I would like to thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us wherever you want. Just not in the street. It's not acceptable. And as ever, we will see you next time, and keep on hooing.